Hello, and welcome to Sports Update. We'll be looking at the latest sports news from around the region and beyond. I'm Didi Little.
We'll also look at college football across the nation and check out the latest happenings in all pro sports. I'm Madison Letterman, and this is Sports Update on EU TV.
Well, Madison, it's definitely a great day to be back in the studio. How are you ready to talk about some sports?
Yes, it is. We had a lot of great Evangel games last week, and I'm just really excited to get into it and talk about it with everyone.
For sure. Well, we're definitely going to start off with the football team. The Evangel Crusader football team faced another setback this past weekend, this time in a matchup against one of last year's NAIA national semifinalists, the Grandview Vikings. All-American Dallas Flowers set the tone for the Vikings as he took the game's opening kickoff 93 yards back the other way for Grandview's first score of the game. Viking quarterback Johnny Sullivan threw for 233 yards and 4 touchdowns, connecting with another All-American, Anthony Turner, for 172 of those yards and 2 touchdowns. This effort allowed the Vikings to defeat the Crusaders 35-13. Redshirt sophomore Dylan Decker made his first career start in this game for the Crusaders, and he threw for 155 yards and ran for a touchdown, while Bryce Newman led the Crusaders in rushing and ran for a touchdown of his own. Haken Friend and Josh Denny led the Crusaders with 77 and 53 yards receiving, respectively. The Crusaders will look to right the ship and pick up a win on the road this coming Saturday against the Yellow Jackets from Graceland. Kickoff is scheduled for 1 p.m. from Lamoni, Iowa.
Our men's soccer team decided to postpone their game against Park University that was scheduled for Wednesday, September 23rd, and cancel their game against Clark University that was intended for Saturday, September 26th, due to the coronavirus and cautionary contact tracing. The athletic department believes this is the best decision in order to keep both of the teams safe. We will keep you updated as these games are rescheduled. Their next game is planned for Wednesday, September 30th against Missouri Valley here in Springfield starting at 7:30 p.m.
For the first time in 2020, the Evangel Crusader women's soccer team came up on the short end of the scoreline as they took on the Clark Pride and Heart of America conference play. The Crusaders stormed out of the gates early as they found themselves ahead 2-0 at halftime behind goals from Bianca Bifford in the 11th minute, while Grace Wright found the back of the net for the Crusaders in the 30th minute. However, the Pride came storming back in the second half as they scored 2 goals of their own in the 60th and 87th minute to send the game into overtime. Clark ultimately was able to secure the 3-2 win in overtime on the heels of a goal by Bailey McNamee 4 minutes into the extra period. The Crusaders will look to get back to their winning ways this coming Wednesday when they host the Missouri Valley Vikings on Coryell Field. Game time is set for 5 p.m.
Our women's volleyball team lost their last game against Mid-American Nazarene on September 18th as MNU played a near-perfect game with only 6 errors as a team. Evangel could not find a consistent attack, yet Tori Lowry managed to lead the team with 8 kills. Jordan Stacy also led Evangel with 16 assists. Unfortunately, the team has not been able to play another game since then due to the coronavirus and quarantine procedures. Although, even with most of the team still in quarantine, Evangel is set to play at Culver Stockton this Thursday, October 1st.
Well, it definitely sounds like it was a little bit of a rough week for our Crusaders this past week.
Yes, hopefully this week is a lot better. We have a lot of upcoming games too, as long as we all get to play them.
Yeah, we definitely will be all looking to right the ship this coming week, so I'm excited about that. But up next, we will be interviewing Evangel football head coach Charles Hepela.
We'll be right back.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Hey. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving.
Why? What did I do?
Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit.
Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave.
Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I'm here with Evangel's football coach, Chuck Hepola. Thank you for being here with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
We already talked about last week's game and how we had a loss against Grandview, but what do you think the team needs to improve on from that game?
You know, just basic fundamentals. Just get back to the basics, and being fundamentally sound, and just making sure that everybody's doing their job. And I mean, that's coaches, that's players, that's everybody involved in our program. And so everything just starts with basic fundamentals, and that's what I really believe. That's what we preached to the team yesterday at our team meeting, and then also our first practice yesterday, starting back the new week. And so, I think we'll be better for it in the long run.
Yeah, so do you think that was just a difficult first game since we had to miss out on our
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that's that team that we played last year was in the semis. So in other words, they're one of the better teams in the country, and obviously we were a top 25 team as well, but they were not missing players due to COVID, and we were missing some guys that have played an awful lot for us on Saturdays due to COVID, and so that definitely did have an impact on the game. At the end of the day, we still got to get better fundamentally. We've got to do a better job coaching. We've got, there's a lot of things that we've got to do better, but it certainly did have an impact on it. And, we as coaches, we don't like to come across like we're making excuses. So,
yeah.
But that's the facts that was involved in that game.
Yeah. So what is the team doing this week to get ready for the game?
Yeah, just like I said, really working heavily on fundamentals, and then also making sure that our game plan, everybody trusts and knows what they're doing and do their job and do their job well. And we're always striving for guys to perfect their job. And I'm thrilled to say there'll be tons of guys back this week that weren't.
Awesome.
And so we'll be able to practice better. We'll be able to play better. There'll be a lot of things that will benefit us in the long run for that.
So do you have a lot of, who are your standout players this year?
Well, I mean, to be quite honest with you, we have quite a few standout players. So, I mean, if I started listing, and it would just go on and on. But we've got quite a few seniors, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. Starts with 3 linemen up front that have played an awful lot. We've got a couple of quarterbacks that have returned to played a lot. We got a couple of tight ends that have returned that have played a ton. We've got 3 receivers that have defensive line. We got 3 defensive linemen that have played. I've got 2 returning linebackers, a couple of safeties, and so I mean it's just a ton of guys
lots
right there.
Lots of returners.
Absolutely,
So
lots of returners, and unfortunately some of those returners haven't actually been able to play yet.
Mm-hmm,
And so they'll this weekend against Graceland we'll have quite a few of those guys back.
So we were talking about red shirts a little bit earlier in one of our stories. How many red shirts do you have this year?
Well, we haven't deemed anybody a red shirt yet.
Okay.
So what happens is as the season progresses, then that decision is made. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some guys that you can see right now because of some of the guys that are playing in front of them, and that there's potential for that to happen, but we haven't deemed anybody quote unquote a red shirt yet. Mm-hmm. And because we have a saying, we say that every guy on our team is an injury, an incident, or a coach's decision away from playing. Okay. So they all absolutely have to be ready to go. So the only time I ever, as a head coach, have told anybody you're a redshirt is if a young man came in, maybe he tore a knee or, you know, he was coming off an injury, and you know there's no doubt that he's going to be playing throughout the year. And of course, every guy knows the deal. And we're also not going to put a player in a difficult situation where he might lose a red shirt because of playing, you know, one play or something like that. But there is a new rule this year where a young man that, you know, if he plays a certain number of games, then, you know, he could still, you know, save his redshirt year. So that's good for us. And honestly, that's good for really nationally for players, because in the past you could play one play and you lost the whole year.
Oh, wow,
and now that's not the case anymore.
Well, that's good.
Oh, yeah, without question. So it's what's best for the kids.
That's awesome. So what's the biggest challenge you see with the upcoming game?
Biggest challenge is just obviously Evangel doesn't beat Evangel, and that's what we talk about every week. Really, if you look at any football game, there's roughly 5 to 7 plays that if you took those 5 to 7 plays out, the other team would win. And most of the time, if there's a mistake made during that game, it's generally self-inflicted. It's not always because somebody else has done something. It's because maybe we lose a little concentration. Maybe we didn't make a good call. Maybe there was something fundamentally that broke down. And so we're constantly talking about just doing the best you can, the best version of yourself, and making sure that guys understand that really Evangel doesn't beat Evangel. And that is the honest truth.
Yeah, that's a really good outlook on it. So are you looking forward to this week's game?
Oh, yeah. We, you know, I got in this profession for a reason, and I love seeing young men get out during the week, and it's fun to watch a practice on Monday, and then we'll of course practice on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and then we'll have a walkthrough style practice on Friday and a walkthrough on Saturday morning, and then we'll play the game. But it's fun to see a young man progress during the week and see how he takes the game plan and sees what we're doing and develop, and it's almost like a proud parent. You know, you step back and you look at what these guys have done, and it's just it's tremendous to watch these guys and how they perform. And really, in the sport of football, I mean, there's a lot these guys have to know. And if you think about it, there's every play averages about 5 to 12 seconds. So those guys are having to think that quick. And they're having to think that quick, and somebody's doing something full speed. And so when you think about that, that takes a lot of time and effort and practice, and our guys have done a great job of it, and our coaches have done a great job of coaching as well.
Well, I've heard your playbook is pretty thick.
Well, we got a few. We got a few plays on both sides, offensively, defensively, and special teams. But we do still try to keep it simple.
Well, that's good.
And very sound form as well.
So what do you see coming forward from last week's game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, you look at what you did from the previous game, and you see any mistakes that you made, because again, it goes back to the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. And so you look at the things that you really need to improve on, you improve on those things, and then also you complement it with the current game plan that you're running. And so so I'm just looking forward to our guys getting back out. The unfortunate thing about football is a lot of the other sports, let's say, for instance, you're playing basketball. You got a basketball game, and let's say, for instance, you played well or you didn't play well. Well, you might have a game the next night. And so that you can flush that game quickly and move on to the next one. Well, in the sport of football, you're going to play one, and then you're not going to play another one for another week. So you really have a whole week to kind of, you know, toil on that, you know, and just try to make yourself better. And so as a coach, I would rather play the game on Saturday, and if there's a lot of mistakes made, I'd rather get back out and play the next day. But that's just not the way it works. So.
Well, that's awesome. So thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up, we will be reviewing several college football games that happened this past week. Please stay tuned.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Back in the beginning of this pandemic, the NCAA announced that the 2020 College World Series would be canceled due to the coronavirus. Even so, Major League Baseball is in full swing as postseason approaches with 16 teams competing. The league will start playoffs with the Wild Card Series beginning September 29th. The 8 best of 3 matchups in the Wild Card Series will be played at the higher seeds home ballpark. After this series, the remaining 8 games will play in a more traditional postseason format, with the World Series scheduled to be on October 20th.
After another exciting weekend of college football that saw the SEC open their 10-game schedule, the most recent Associated Press college football poll came out Monday morning. There were no real surprises as the Clemson Tigers continued to hold down the top spot in the rankings. Clemson is followed in the rankings by 3 teams from the SEC, as Alabama, Florida, and Georgia each saw themselves as the number 2, 3, and 4 teams in the country respectively, following season opening wins by all 3 teams. Notre Dame rounded out the top 5 as they moved up 2 spots from last week. Mississippi State made the biggest jump this week to number 16 after not being ranked last week after their upset of defending national champion LSU, who fell from number 6 to number 20. Oklahoma found themselves plummeting in the rankings as well, as they fell from number 3 to number 18 following an upset loss to unranked Kansas State, which means the Big 12's last hopes of possibly having an undefeated team in the college football playoff are number 9 Texas, number 17 Oklahoma State, and unranked Baylor. The last few times the reigning NFL regular season MVP and the reigning Super Bowl MVP match up, fireworks have ensued. This trend continued last night as Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs took on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Of the 4 times that this anomaly has happened, the Super Bowl MVP came out on top in all 4 instances, and Monday night was no different as the Chiefs defeated the Ravens by a score of 34-20. Patrick Mahomes was his usual prolific self as he threw for 385 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Mecole Hardman all had at least 75 yards receiving. Lamar Jackson struggled to find any rhythm throwing the ball as he threw for just 97 yards and a touchdown, although he rushed for 83 yards as well. Jackson has only lost 4 regular season games as a starter, and 3 of those games have been to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Kansas City's moved to 3-0 on the season, and they will take on the Patriots in their next matchup, while the Ravens fell to 2-1, and they will look to bounce back next week versus the Washington football team.
The NFL Power Rankings for Week 4 were released over the weekend, and before Monday night's game, the Kansas City Chiefs were at the top of the rankings as the Baltimore Ravens and the Seattle Seahawks came in close behind. The Chiefs are the team to watch as Travis Kelce ranks 2nd in the league among tight ends in receptions with 15 total. The Chiefs are also 6-0 in the last 6 games, including playoffs, which they've trailed by 10 or more points, which is an NFL record. On the other hand, the Ravens have not lost regular season games since dropping to a 40-25 to Cleveland in Week 4 of last season. And since that loss, they have outscored their regular season opponents by an average of 33-15. And finally, the Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson is leading the NFL with touchdown passes this season, with the most ever in the first 3 games of a season, which passes Patrick Mahomes' start in his MVP-winning 2018 season. Overall, the power rankings are changing each week, so we're excited to see what Week 5 brings to the table.
Well, it's definitely hard to believe that it's already Week 5 in the NFL, and although there's a lot of stuff going on in the NFL and the college game, there's a lot to look forward to. Isn't that right, Madison?
Yes, there's a lot coming up in pro sports and still in college sports, even here at Evangela as well. We have a lot coming up this week, and I'm just really excited to watch it all unfold.
For sure. And speaking about that, we have some upcoming games that we're going to be looking forward to for our Evangel Crusaders. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now.
Coming up, our volleyball team will be playing at Culver Stockton on Thursday, October 1st at 7 p.m. in Canton, Missouri. So if you would want to tune into that, you can online unless you want to travel that far.
We have some upcoming soccer games as well. This coming Wednesday, September the 30th, our soccer teams will be taking on the Missouri Valley Vikings, and that will be a home game out here on Courier Field. So if you feel like it, please go out and support our Crusaders. Our women will be kicking off at 5 p.m., and our men will be starting their game at 7:30 p.m.
And finally, our football team will be playing at Graceland in Iowa at 1 p.m. on Saturday, October 3rd for another football game. And if you don't want to travel that far, it'll also be online as well.
Yes, I'm definitely excited about all the things that we have going on here at Evangel. It's exciting to see all these sports going on, especially with it, just a few months ago, it seemed like we weren't going to have anything, but now we're in the full swing of things. So that's exciting for us to see.
Yes, it's so crazy. I'm just really excited that everything's actually getting to happen, even with all of the craziness going on around us.
For sure. And also, we want to send a special shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning for winning the Stanley Cup last night. They defeated the Dallas Stars in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they won the Stanley Cup. So that's exciting to see.
Yes, and wasn't that their first Stanley Cup?
I'm pretty sure it was. Also, the NBA Finals are starting up tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, the Lakers will be taking on the Miami Heat. So what's your prediction for that, Madison?
Oh, I'm going to have to keep mine a secret.
You're going to have to keep it a secret? That's fair. I have the Lakers in 6. So
okay.
Go Lakers, go LeBron. I'm trying to be partial, but it is what it is. But, it's definitely just an exciting time. This is the first time in sports history that we've had all these things going on. We have the baseball playoffs, we have the NBA finals going on, the NFL regular season, the college football regular season, all going on at the same time. So if you love sports, this is a great time to be alive.
There's a lot to watch, so everyone better be ready.
For sure. Well, that's all the time that we have today for Sports Update. I'm Didi Little.
And I'm Madison Letterman. Be sure to join us next week as we bring you the latest in sports news. This has been Sports Update on EUTV.